So can you guys just tell me how this podcast works? Like how it's...
We wish we could. We have no idea. It's only been 108 episodes.
What makes you think it's working?
This is the AT Banter podcast, a balanced and entertaining look at assistive technology, accessibility, and its importance in people's lives. Join Rob Minot, Ryan Fleury, and Steve Barclay as they banter with people around the world about anything and everything regarding assistive technology and the disability community. Now, on with the show.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of AT Banter.
Banter!
You can tell it's summertime around here.
Yeah.
Everybody is
full
happy.
on jingle stick today, baby.
Everyone is happy. The weather's great.
A little cool today.
Yeah, a little bit.
I have coffee.
But it's nice,
We'll
though.
get there. It is, yeah.
But it's nice. I hate really super hot summers. So.
I agree.
How are you folks? How are you folks? How are you guys?
How you folks?
How you folk?
Ducky.
Yeah?
Yep.
Splendiferous.
Excellent. Hey, Ryan. Oh, no, you know what?
What?
I'm changing it up today. Hey, Steve.
Ooh.
Hey, Rob.
What are we doing today?
Today, we are going to talk to Lynn Langille and Linda Mamer and me about the Children's Low Vision Project of British Columbia, a project that I've been with since the very, very beginning, and which I'm really happy to present to the world.
Yeah, this is it's so funny that it's taken this long for us to put this together, because this has been a passion project of yours for so long, and we've been sort of trying to pull this episode together for a while, just getting you guys together to talk about it, and took 100 and some odd episodes.
Well, it's funny because we've talked about doing a CLVP show for a while, and getting Lynn and Linda and myself together for this show. And every time for the last bunch of clinics that I've gone to the clinic, I have gone with the express purpose of nailing down a date. And those clinics get so busy that it just sort of evaporates from your head. And I'm really happy we finally managed to nail a date down after, a mere 2 years.
Yeah, we'll blame it on the busyness of the clinics.
Let's do that.
Yeah, okay.
Shut up, Ryan.
It's the Democrats. It's all the Democrats' fault.
Just saying, payday's a few days away.
That's true.
You might want to be humble.
Love you, Steve.
Pivot, distract. Actually, that's true. All right, well, let's open the room.
Open the room.
Open the room.
Hello.
Hello.
It's Lynn.
Hello, Lynn.
Oh, I feel so official. I have a headset and everything.
Wow.
I'm here.
Hey, there she is.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, good. How is everybody?
Not
We're
too bad, Lynn.
Good.
Good.
We're doing
How
a
are you?
podcast.
Are we? We're going to try.
Okay, well, where the heck do we start?
I think, okay, well, first off,
We should do some intros.
we should do some intros. Well, first off, let's introduce Lynn Langille. Say hi, Lynn.
Hi, everyone.
And Linda Mamer,
Hi, everyone.
both of whom are part of the team with me on the Children's Low Vision Project of British Columbia. And that all got started with little Miss Lynn Langille there. And you want to tell the story of how it came about, Lynn?
Sure, I can. I'm a vision teacher and O&M instructor, orientation mobility in Kelowna, BC, and probably 14 years ago, or maybe 15 now, I had the opportunity to learn about a low vision project similar in West Virginia. And Rebecca Coakley, who is there at the West Virginia Eye Institute, was running this program in their state. and I heard about it and learned about it and said, this is something that British Columbia needs for several reasons. We can get into what the service looks like. And actually, Linda Mamer is also responsible for the beginnings of this, because she was with me on the journey to do the fact finding, as we called it back then, discussing the concept with several vision stakeholders in British Columbia. And through the support of my director, Dr. Peter Malloy, here in Kelowna, I was able to sort of begin to gather the core pieces of what this project would look like, and ultimately establish a pilot project that was funded by the Ministry of Children and Families. And we were off and on our way. So that's sort of the foundational steps that got us to where we are today.
And where exactly are we today?
Well, we have completed year, I think, 12. Am I right? That's awful that I can't remember the exact date, of low vision clinics around British Columbia. We're now doing 6 two-day clinics around several different regions of the province, reaching out to all of the low vision children and their families. And we have a team of amazing, committed people that this would not be possible without. Part of the fact finding was putting together the team players that I knew we needed to have in order to make this work, because it brings together the educational community for the visually impaired and the medical community. And we needed to have people that were willing to work together and work as a team and not have sort of their own specialized hat only. And it's a collaborative team approach of ophthalmology, optometry, orientation and mobility, assistive technology, low vision specialist, and educational vision teachers on the team, and an administrative assistant who work together to make the magic of CLVP happen.
Yeah, shout out to Terry. Woohoo, Terry.
Yeah, Terry. She's going to be here soon.
Excellent.
So what was the basic need that you saw when you first started the project that you guys really wanted to sort of fill?
Well, good question. I guess I'll go again. Basically, the foundation of the project is to provide low vision devices, optical aids, and assistive technology recommendations, and a functional vision assessment to visually impaired students in BC from ages 4 to 19 who would benefit from the use of these devices and technology, and really to improve their quality of life at home and at school. And also we had a philosophy in there and, information about reducing the need for large print by the use of these devices. So those were sort of the anchors of what we used as our reasoning behind wanting to begin a project like this here.
Now, what's your experience been in bringing in the sort of the kids and the parents in terms of are they generally surprised at the existence of some of this assistive technology? Like they had no idea that it was even there, that could benefit them so much? Or like what's their typical reaction to being put in front of some of these devices?
Well, the devices have been amazing for many of our families. So when Lynn said we see students from the age of 4 to 19, it showed us that we would get young children coming in, and those parents were brand new to the whole area of devices with visual impairment. So right from the beginning, it gives the parents a lot of information, but also a lot of hope of what's going to be available for their children as their children go through the school system. And they are stunned to see the array and variety and the different abilities their children can have from using the different devices. So we use the opportunity really to educate the students, the teachers, and the families on what's available for the students, readily available for the students in British Columbia. So we show them a lot of what we call low-tech devices at my station. And also I'm always thinking to the future. So I'm having parents know what's available now, even if it doesn't apply to their child at this time based on age or ability level, so that the parents can see, oh, okay, I'm not going to have to worry about high school. And that's been such an enriching part for our clinic. And also taking the time to educate the parents means the parents can spend a substantial amount of time at each station really getting the in-depth information that they need, but also that it's hard to get when you're in a doctor's office right. And you have a limited amount of time with your ophthalmologist or optometrist.
Yeah, I mean, do you find that you also have to be a little bit forward thinking as well when you're talking to them? Because especially with kids who are dealing with all types of different eye conditions, during that age, those eye conditions are very fluid. I mean, they can certainly get worse during those years. Do you find that it's a lot about education, sort of forward thinking, like, okay, we're going to show you a low vision device now, but here's something that's maybe more tuned to, legal, like blindness that you may need down the road?
Well, that's a very good question, because we see a lot of students with degenerative conditions, and we direct them to our optometrists and ophthalmologists to get really good medical information in that regard. But that's exactly what we do, is we have the parents see what helps now for all students, even the ones who have a stable eye condition, that this will be good for your child now, but maybe in a couple of years they can, I call it upgrade to a different device, and the child will be ready then. At the same time, because we're all educators of children, we're very aware of children's readiness levels. So we may have the actual perfect device for a child, but if the child says very clearly, I'm not going to use it for whatever reason, it may be that they don't think they need it. It may be that they feel they're getting by with what they have. They may not want to have devices that look different in their classroom. So we have to be very sensitive to where the child is now, so that we're respectful of that, but also at the same time planting seeds for what could be helpful for them. Because ultimately, as vision teachers, our job is to make it as easy as possible for the students to see, so they don't have to work at 150% to get the information. So that's where we're very aware when the students come to us of what may help, what they may be ready for, what they may not be ready for, but we know they need to know about. And that's one of the beauties of the low vision clinic, is that the parents can really have the opportunity to learn. And also, once they're at the clinic, it goes on for 2.5 to 3 hours. We invite them to circle back if they have a question once they've left our station, or if they wanted to see something that they weren't sure of, or could we explain something more in depth to them. And that part is very reassuring to us, that we're giving a vast array of information and demonstrations to the family and to the teachers.
Lynn, do you want to let's just take a step back, and maybe you can describe the clinic process and what happens as a kid's going through our clinic.
Sure. I just wanted to add from what Linda said there, that we do like to see the students within 2 to 3 years on a rotational basis, so that as they go through the school years, we are able to follow them through. And we've had students now that we started with as preschoolers, and they're moving out in and out of high school. So it's been very, really get to know these families, and the kids and families will come back and know what they're what to expect, but also maybe it's time to trade in some devices, and we can talk about the library itself. But that was just an added piece to what Linda was discussing. As far as the clinic process goes, most of our referrals come from the vision teachers of British Columbia. They're pretty much all now well informed and have participated in clinics with us, so they know what to expect. And that was part of the growth process as well, was having teachers being willing to come with their students and families and feel safe to have their students assessed by somebody else, because vision teachers also do functional vision assessments, and being willing to be open to learning with their children, students, about what could help them in school, rather than feel like we were sort of telling them what to do. They've learned very quickly that it's a collaborative process, and we'll often have vision teachers call us and say, what do you think about this kid? Should they come to the clinic? Or, we've got this device, I'd like to exchange it. So it's become a really nice open communication with the team and the teachers of the province. We also do get referrals from doctors, optometrists, ophthalmologists, and sometimes we even get parents that learn about us from maybe the private system that have hard and would like to have their child brought to the clinic. And so, of course, there's the referral process, there's the forms process, and then we get to the point where the family comes to the clinic. We do an initial intake of information and discussion of what's going to happen. And they start off with our low vision optometrists. We have two low vision optometrists, Dr. David Grimes and Dr. Louise Mishik, who each attend a clinic. They share 3 clinics, the 6 clinics of the year. And they will do a functional vision assessment there of near and distance vision, color, contrast, checking their fields, their depth perception, looking at their glasses prescription. It's sort of we call, it's a non-medical functional vision assessment in a classroom setting. And we explain to the students and families that this is what it's like for the students to see in their classrooms under this type of lighting conditions, and, windows nearby with glare and possible issues for vision. It's not a dark room in an optometrist's office, which is perfect conditions for testing vision. So we talk about that being the functional side of the assessment. Once we have that done, they move on to Linda's station, and the optometrist is able to discuss with Linda what the visual acuities are, what the issues are functionally for the student, and they can sort of pre-discuss some ideas for what to present initially to the student in the devices area. And that's when the student gets to try all the fun stuff. And believe me, no one has more fun at this than Linda in this department.
No question.
That's true.
After Linda, they go to see Peter, Mr. Peter, and Peter's an orientation and mobility instructor as well as a vision teacher. And that's when we look at taking the students outside and trialing distance devices like binoculars, looking at sun filters, and discussing the independent and safe travel needs of the students that he's assessing. It's not a formal orientation mobility evaluation, but it's a sort of initial step to looking at what their vision teachers and orientation mobility instructors can begin to use for a device for that area of their curriculum. And then they go on to Steve. And why don't you talk about that part, Steve?
Okay, so when they come to my station, they've already been looking at optical aids with Linda, so I can get a sense from Linda as to what she's offered to them. So all of the stuff I do is all electronic magnification, and starts at about 4 times magnification. In some cases, kids don't need that high a magnification. They might be able to get along fine with optical aids, in which case I just move them on to the ophthalmologist. But we talk about things like magnification, contrast, what color settings work for somebody, magnification on computers if they're using computers in the classroom. I have things like large print keyboard stickers I can give them. And really that's about that. And handheld electronic magnifiers we're now dispensing as well. So things like the Pebble, a 4.3-inch video magnifier. I can dispense those at the clinic for kids, typically the older kids who are more mobile. Yeah, so we go through the options there. Oftentimes I'm discussing their needs with the vision teacher. There's certain vision teachers that I hate. Because
names.
Whoa!
Edit.
Well, let's start with Miss Nikki DeCario up in Terrace, because every time I go up to the Terrace clinic and we run into Nikki, her kids already have everything that I'm even thinking about offering their kids. So it's like, you're one of her kids. All right, move along.
She allows you to not get to do any work at that point, Steve.
That's true. I get a lot of Sudoku done at those clinics.
Oh, no, it's the Sudoku again.
Also, too, from Steve's station with the technology, like Linda said, the kids and families get to see what's available and what's coming for their school years. And we're in direct contact with, as well as the vision teachers are, with SETBC, Special Education Technology. So we're able to say to the district, like, you might want to consider applying for a CCTV, room viewer, whatever type of system we're recommending through the SETBC process. And then also, too, if it's for at home, we talk about the different ways to do fundraising, like through the Canadian Military Police Fund, for the children to have, that sort of option at home as well.
Yeah. And sometimes we also end up having the conversation at that stage about the possibility of looking at alternatives such as Braille, for example, if a kid's got a serious degenerative condition. And that can be a really awkward conversation sometimes, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of parents, I think, when you start talking about Braille, their immediate association with Braille is that's for somebody who's totally blind,
right?
Which is not necessarily true. It can be for kids who are partially sighted, because it can provide efficiencies in learning and in reading. But some parents are they've got this preconceived notion that anything to do with Braille means that they're conceding that their child is blind now, and it can be a very emotional conversation. We've had parents who are absolutely dead set against any kind of Braille education for their kid, and we've I think managed to talk some of them through that, but yeah, it can get quite emotional at that point when parents see it driven home that they have to prepare for the future.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the beauty of the team process and the collaboration with the vision teacher. Because often they're in a situation where they know that it's time to begin doing Braille readiness and looking at that sort of thing for the future. And we're able to assist and support through that difficult time. We've had some pretty emotional moments, at the clinic with regards to that sort of thing. We've also diagnosed the last step of the process is seeing the ophthalmologist. And that's when they get the full physical eye exam, and they get the drops, their eyes get examined. We have a full ophthalmology office basically on the road with equipment purchased to do almost everything that they're able to do in their offices. And it's the beauty of having an ophthalmologist discuss these specific eye conditions and have the time with the family that they would never have in a specialist's office otherwise. Our guys are seeing, up to 10 students a day at a clinic, whereas they would normally be seeing 45 plus patients a day in their offices.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of great discussion happens there about, secondary conditions, nutrition for the eyes, eye foods, what to avoid with, talking to the teenagers about, drugs, alcohol, all of these things that can worsen the tissue-related disorders of the eye. And, the other one thing I thought of too is we've had the cane discussions where Peter's had to say, it's time for you to be using a mobility cane, right, and walking them through that delicate process of acceptance as well.
And the other thing that the ophthalmologists do more now is, with all the emphasis on stem cell research and genetic editing, a lot of parents are spending a lot of time doing research on their own because of the availability of the information. Sure. And then they wonder if their child will be eligible. And our clinic allows for the time it takes to discuss some of those areas in depth, especially with the ophthalmologist.
Yeah, I think that's really the most powerful part of the clinic is the time that the parents get to spend with the ophthalmologist, because that time is really invaluable. They can ask whatever questions they want, they can get whatever answers you can give them. Talk about the future, talk about, genetic tests,
Yeah, that's a biggie.
Yeah, things that they might want to, because genetic testing now has the potential to completely change the outcome for some of these kids with genetic conditions.
Could you expand on that a little bit? Like, what do you mean by that?
Well, there's gene editing techniques, for example, for one specific eye condition, which can reverse the eye condition. It's a type of what is it? It's a rod cone dystrophy, I think.
It's retinitis pigmentosa.
Is it retinitis pigmentosa? Okay.
In the family, it's a specific genetic area within retinitis pigmentosa.
Yeah. So if a kid gets identified as having that specific gene that's causing that problem, they can get a gene editing treatment and correct the condition.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's going to happen more and more as time goes on. There will be more cures like that coming down the pipe. So genetic testing is now getting more common and more important.
Yeah, so that the recommendation is to get themselves registered and be on that list for when the day comes, which is pretty exciting. So once that's all completed, this process, and it can take up to a couple hours, especially if the students do get the eye drops, because there's a waiting period there.
Yeah.
Steve's even been known to help administer eye drops.
Kids love eye drops.
I don't believe you.
They do, especially the little ones. They just love it.
Please.
It's like, ooh, eye drops. Drop my eye.
Then the team gathers at what we call the wrap-up. And that's when we come back to the intake table, and everybody, most of the time, we're able to get everybody to sort of pause, because it's a work in progress. There can be 3 to 4, usually 3 students running at a time, different stations. So we hit pause, everybody gathers, and it's a chance for the whole team to give their input on their findings from the assessment. And that's when the students get a chance to talk about what they chose for devices. That's a big piece is building in some self-advocacy strengths for the students in why they made the choices they did and how they're going to use the devices. And they get to sort of show off to their family and us what they're taking home. The lending library of the clinic allows us to provide these devices free of charge. And it's sort of a living library, because often kids will come back with devices that they're finished with, and they're looking to, we call upgrade, exchange, or give back some of the devices. And that's sort of an ongoing process all through their school years. And then we send them on their way, happy and very surprised that they, kids will say, that was the best eye doctor visit I've ever had. Or, when do we get to come back? Whatever. And they also get to go out with chocolate eyeballs and eye suckers, and that we stock up on at Halloween. We're famous for our eye candy as well.
So how many clinics typically occur during the course of a year?
We're doing 6 2-day clinics now, pretty much. The ones up north tend to be sort of 2 days, but like 2 half days based on travel needs. And we sort of rotate through the regions and the districts of the province every year. They're sort of on a rotational basis. Now we're trying to get back to some of the more remote places every 3 years. It has been 2, wow. But some of the other districts where we're having to wait list kids. So it's a process to look at the referrals and the needs and priorities in some of the areas where there's more kids.
Now,
I should also mention the funding is provided for this ongoing funding, not only from the Ministry of Children and Families, but the Ministry of Education for BC.
Okay.
So they both provide contracted funding to the school district that I work in, Central Okanagan School District 23, to run these clinics each year.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, is whether or not there was funding for it. Have you found that the demand has been growing every year?
Absolutely. Yes. Once a family and a teacher has been to a clinic and they get it, as Linda refers to, they want to come back with more kids because they see the advantage. Linda, you might want to speak to that too.
Well, and they see the benefits of coming. And often what we do is do what we call sort of informal professional development to the vision teachers around the province, because some are brand new, just graduating out of the University of British Columbia master's program. So when we come, we're bringing equipment they may never have seen. We're bringing the newest equipment, both high tech and low tech, and general non-optical tools. And the teachers then are learning about what's out there, and then they're also learning how to use these new tools with the students as well. I did want to add, too, that going up north is so important because many of these families don't have any opportunity to come down to the Lower Mainland to go to the ophthalmology clinic at Children's and the visual impairment program at Sunnyhill. So they may only see a local person who would be good, but not that experience with children. So often we see students who've never seen an ophthalmologist, and really can help those people see the bigger picture of the different eye conditions, because we can bring our experience of other students we've seen with the same eye conditions to those families and have them feel that they're receiving good medical help, regardless of how remote their situation is.
The other piece too is that we'll make referrals. Our ophthalmologists and optometrists will make referrals to either local or down at Children's for specific tests that need to be done, so that the clinic can be a venue for that sort of thing. Sometimes we have students that we recommend to go into contact lenses, and so they would see their local optometrist for that. So there's all kinds of different pieces that come out of the clinic process for that as well.
We've even had a case where we've saved a kid's vision.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
You want to tell that story?
That was our first clinic on Vancouver Island, and we our ophthalmologist diagnosed 2, I believe, retinal detachments. And this was a particular student who was had autism as well and wasn't able to communicate a change in her vision. And she was very quickly on a medevac to Children's Hospital that day and underwent surgery that saved her, vision, her partial vision. We've also had eye cancers detected by our doctors as well, which they've had to, then go on to other specialists to investigate. So pretty powerful stuff.
And the other area along that line is as our experience grows with children from the medical point of view, often we run into children who've received a diagnosis based on what appears to be is the diagnosis, but often from someone who hasn't seen enough children to be sure. And when you have ophthalmologists who've seen a number of children with the same eye condition, they can be much clearer and much more predictive of the future. So we went through a time when many students, at least one per clinic, came to the clinic with an eye diagnosis that everyone believed on the basis of good clinical work. And in fact, that diagnosis was completely wrong.
Wow.
And when we're in a time of so much research available on the internet and parents are searching, they will keep searching for some sort of help or cure for the students. So the parents currently now are really, really focused on getting to the root of what the eye condition is. So when our clinic can clarify or at least set the family on a path to making sure they have the correct diagnosis, that's so much more important information for the family to have, because some eye conditions are right now being researched, even at UBC as we speak. This is not future or 10 years from now. Right now, there are students in clinical trials. And not that we're saying that's where all children should go, but the drive for the families to find out as much information as possible is very high, and helping them ensure they have the correct label diagnosis for their eye condition is very important.
Well, and I think that's one thing, people have to keep in mind is, using the internet for research is great, but at the same time, you have to be careful in self-diagnosing yourself. There's no guarantee.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's why we have experts.
And many parents, I have 2 right now who spend hours each night looking at research around the world for a cure for what their child has. And we have to respect that and help them where we can. At the same time, we're continuing to educate their child, but the drive to know that information and to look for a cure has become stronger, I've seen, as the internet has more information. So being able to discuss that information with an informed ophthalmologist who's seen other children with the same eye condition is incredibly important for these families.
So seeing how powerful these clinics can be for the families, what's your, and I'll sort of pose this to all 3 of you, what's the hurdle that is preventing something like this from being less of something that comes through town every 3 years to being something that would be more of a mainstay for families throughout the province?
We've talked lots about this. We need our B team.
Yeah. We need the missing piece is the follow-up. That we're actually, since we've been we've been doing this for so many years now, I really feel, we all feel it's time to review and renew and look forward to, some of the things that we really feel need to still occur for this to be, even greater. And that the one big thing I believe is follow up, because, often we don't see these kids for another 2 or 3 years, and they're out in the, they're out in the system. We're trusting that everything's okay and that the vision teachers will communicate with us. But we're giving out some pretty expensive items and trusting that they're going to be taught correctly, trusting that they're going to be used and, used at home and at school to their best functionability. So my dream is to be able to have the manpower to do that sort of thing. Eye in the sky. Ooh, I like that. We're going to have a CLP summit, we're calling it, next year, to be able to bring the players together and really take a couple days and really take a look at what we're doing, how we're doing it, and how we can, add to this service.
Now, you guys, initially, you said that you sort of modeled this after something that was being done in West Virginia.
Yes.
Have some of the other provinces sort of looked at you guys and sort of tried to set up something that's similar to you?
Several years ago, Alberta came on board, and I was able to support them and go up there. And their team, some of their team came and visited our clinic, and they were able to secure funding. And they have what's called the Traveling Low Vision Clinic in Alberta. They're now in both the North and the South regions. But so far, we haven't infiltrated other provinces. The hope is that, eventually that will happen. I think it really comes down to, of course, the funding, but you've got to have the passion. And our team is a fine example of passion for what we're doing at its finest. It wouldn't work otherwise the way that it does.
Well, and it was really Lynn's vision from the beginning that drove it, and the vision has made it successful. And having another province take it on, you'd need that same level of commitment on many levels, both at the practitioner level and then the medical level, but also the support from the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of whatever the province has for children and family. And again, it took Lynn's vision to get us there, and we'd be so supportive of any other province who identified someone who was willing to do it, because in our minds we could sell it very easily because it's such a fantastic service.
I have a couple other thoughts to share. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I've just thought of a few other things. Another piece of the clinic that's become a really nice addition, when possible, are other partners in the field that come and attend the clinic. Pretty much now we have a regular attendance from Provincial Resource Center for the Visually Impaired. We have Adam Wilton and one of his outreach teachers, Ellen Heitch, who attend a clinic representing the province and are able to meet the families, meet the students, and support the teachers. We've also got BC Blind Sports attending when possible to connect with families and talk about education and arrange visits to the individual school districts to help support students in their phys ed activities. And Blind Beginnings is another community partner that, when possible, mostly when we're in the Lower Mainland, has representation at the clinics. And, having Linda on the team has been a direct result of collaboration with the Provincial Outreach Program for Students with Deaf Blindness. And as a result of Linda's participation on the team, we've been able to see students with deaf blindness as well at the clinics and work with their consultants to prepare these specific students' needs for the clinic process, which has been a wonderful addition and support to those kids and families. We also link students with, talking about summer camps and space camp, which, as you know, is another passion of mine. We're able to talk about, activities. What do you like to do? And try to help them follow their dreams, or make a link for them to get some support. And my last note is about research. Again, another dream. We have now 12 years of a database worth of assessment and reports and data for all of the children we've seen, and it has the potential to, look at where are all the students in British Columbia with albinism, or what about Stargardt's, and how wouldn't it be great to be able to link these families and kids together? And there's just so many possibilities for research purposes, but again, time be able to do that.
So is that sort of your main enemy? Is just having the resources to do everything, or is it funding, or is it both?
I wouldn't call it an enemy. I think what happens as a result of doing this is just we realize the potential for all of the things that are coming out of this process, but that still could. And I do know that the West Virginia Children's Vision Rehabilitation Project, they have like Becky herself is able to do the follow-ups. She's able to do summer camps. They do teacher trainings. They do some research. They also have an outreach team that does a third world country every year and takes their team and does that sort of thing. So I think when you have this kind of a powerful team and project, there's endless possibilities. But yes, money and time are the two biggies to help those things occur. And we're not getting any younger.
Well, I am.
What do you think, Linda? You want to stay on for another 10 years and keep going?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
It's one of the most fun areas of what I do, and I love everything I do. One of the other things we've started to do wherever possible is when students come to the clinic, if there's two who have the same eye condition, sometimes we can put them close in time with their appointments, and then they can meet each other and really start having some links, both for the students, but also with their families.
Right.
And also we invite the students' whole team to come. So their resource teacher, their classroom teacher, their support people in the classroom, as well as their vision teacher, of course. Principals have come, speech and language pathologists, occupational therapists, superintendents. We encourage everyone to come who's around that student, because the more we can increase the education base around these unique situations, the more people are going to have the information, because often in some of the small districts, there could be one or two students in separate schools. And it may be so new to the school districts that they really have no idea of the high level of resources we have available through the province, both medically, socially, and educationally. And so we use a lot of our opportunities at the clinic to be educating people on the resources, like Lynn said, and connecting them to different organizations. And that's what I find parents of newly diagnosed students or new to the process, they just are amazed at how many things are available, not just in the Lower Mainland, but throughout the province for students that they had no idea about. And we help to reduce their worry and fear for the future when we can say there's so much more available. And we've had success with these things with other students. And so we sort of normalize the process a fair bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, how do you guys go about choosing the location for any given clinic? Is it partly demand, or do you have sort of a set sort of tour that you take over the course of a few years?
Usually we look for places that have hot springs and, really ritzy hotels. That's yeah.
Yeah. No, we, how do we do that? Basically, with the province is divided into the different regions, and we generally look to the vision teachers to either offer up to host a clinic, because there's a fair bit. If you look at our website, there's pieces involved to be a host district and teacher to prepare and have us come. We don't travel light. There's lots of crates and shipment that comes ahead of time in preparation.
What are we shipping? 15 crates of equipment now?
15 Pelican crates, yeah.
Yeah.
And so the vision teachers tend to drive where the actual clinics are hosted. Like on Vancouver Island, they'll decide, okay, we're going to do it in Victoria this year, or we're going to do it in Duncan this year. And then we sort of decide as a team, we haven't been to Fort St. John now for 2 years, so we need to get back in the third year. That's sort of how it works. And we need to look at booking initially the time for the doctors, because their surgery schedules and they're set, so we have to work our clinics around that. And the rest of the team's pretty flexible and being willing to go with those dates.
It takes a lot of work to coordinate all these visits, as you can imagine. And our administrative assistant, Terry, has been outstanding.
She's brilliant
at organizing all the logistics. And even I don't know all the logistics, and I've been on the clinic for a number of years now. I'm just amazed at how it all comes together. Everything's there. The families arrive. Our meals are ordered in.
Flights are booked, hotels, car. Yeah.
Wow.
She holds it all together, and anything you need, she just takes care of. And it really is the beauty of the internal workings of the clinic, is having a very strong, supported, able to work on their own administrative assistant.
Yeah, because it's not, she's allotted like part-time amount of time for this, but it infiltrates every day of her week. Absolutely. And again, having the district support for that to allow her to do that work each day is vital, because you can't go, I can't return a CLVP call until Thursday, right? It's an everyday thing.
So now, Lynn, when you look back at the past, 13 years,
Mm-hmm.
Does it sort of really blow your mind at how far you've come?
It blows my mind that that it's been that long, first of all. It was an idea from meeting, someone who was doing this and being able to, like I said, my director gave me the wings to fly to put this all together. But it's really been an incredible honor to pull the people that have been a part of my professional career of 30 years to date, which I can't believe. And, people like Steve and like Linda, who go way back with me in my teaching career, to be a part of this process every, 6 weeks or so that we get to do this. It's huge, incredible job satisfaction, career satisfaction, and personal satisfaction. It's hard to describe to people in our lives and work lives the power of what we get to experience when we do this as a group, because it's very intense. It's very special. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun. And I just think we're incredibly lucky to get to do this.
And we're connected with a wonderful system across the province. There's visual impairment is a very small per capita disability. So we know many of the vision teachers. And as Lynn said, we get to know the families. And it just helps that we're all able to connect on so many levels as we travel around. We all get professional development whenever we're out somewhere. By seeing a student with a new eye condition or a new piece of equipment, or a vision teacher brings something in that she's so thrilled about, she just found and wants to share it so that other students can benefit too. And that part really has been so enriching, to be connected so easily in a large province. It's been fantastic.
Okay, so now the big question. So if there's somebody out there that's listening that wants more information about the clinic, whether there's going to be a clinic in their area, or if they want to request the possibility of hosting a clinic, where can people go?
Well, they could just go Google CLVP BC. The website itself is www.clvp.ca. www.clvp-bc.com, and all the information is there about the clinics and how to refer students and who to contact. There's a great video on there that AMI did on the clinic to sort of give people an idea of what it looks like and who the players are, some of the players are. Steve, you need to, is there anything we got to talk with you about?
Well, we didn't mention the snacks.
Oh,
How are
Steve's the best.
How could we forget?
He's just the best.
Steve?
He cooks for us.
What?
Yeah, technology is actually my secondary role at this clinic.
We always get Steve to have a kitchen in his room so he can, you know, he's such a fabulous host and chef.
If it's possible to get a suite or a bigger room, Steve gets that room. And
Really?
That's where we congregate after we set up the clinic, and after the clinics, before we go to dinner, before we go to sleep. The team is really only apart to sleep at the clinics. We're together 24/7, and we're never not talking about it. It's crazy. Like, it's just such a exciting, intense experience, and we're always talking about the kids we saw and what we learned and
funny things that happen.
It's full immersion.
At the end, Linda takes copious Post-it notes throughout the clinics, and she sends the team what's called the blurb, and it's just a review of all the highlights and maybe lowlights, but just sometimes crazy things occur, funny things to the team members, and in it, you read them and you just think, wow, like, we should actually make a book about all this.
There you go, Steve. Start writing.
No, I think that's Linda's project. She's the blurb writer.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, thanks so much for taking the time and talking to us about it. Like I said, we've been trying to sort of pull this episode together for quite a while. So, and we're pleased to do anything we can do to help, because it's such a great project and you guys are doing such amazing work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, our pleasure. Anytime.
Good to talk to you all. Linda, Steve, everybody, have a great summer.
All right.
You as well.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
guys. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for including me.
You bet.
Bye-bye.
Wow, look at that. I had no idea you were actually working when you were at these things. I just thought CLVP was just like a pseudonym for I'm going to go somewhere with a bunch of people and get drunk.
Well, it is that too.
That too. It sounds like, it was very interesting.
I'm assuming. I've never been.
I admit nothing.
I've been on the road with Steve. That's all I can say.
What? It seems to me that's frustrating. It's got to be frustrating for you guys that
there's not enough manpower.
This isn't. Yeah, this isn't more of a funded program, because it sounds like it's so important for kids who are going through, dealing with being diagnosed with low vision. I mean, it's got to be a life-altering experience to actually just go through this 2-hour clinic.
It can be. And, the clinic is fully funded. The problem is that the clinic is identifying that there's a greater need out there than we can currently meet with our team. Right. And, this is one of the reasons why we're talking about having this summit, is to, pull these ideas together and determine, okay, if we, pie in the sky, if we were to meet that need, what would we need to do it? Because really, Lynn talks about follow-up. The follow-up is the biggest missing piece to the clinic right now. We don't have anybody who can, follow up with all these kids. Part of it's, you can't physically do it because it involves traveling all over the province. Right. But, could be somebody telecommuting, connecting with the vision teacher, getting the kid in the room and talking through stuff. There's things that we could be doing additionally that would really help with this process. And the other thing we could do, I joked about Team B, and I think we legitimately could have a second team in this province doing more clinics. Yeah. I don't think it's inconceivable that we would be able to do, with another team, 10 clinics a year.
Well, when Linda's saying that, for some of these kids, it's the first time they're seeing an ophthalmologist, how many are still out there being missed?
Well, yeah, and I talk to, when you're traveling around the province, you talk to all kinds of people, and the last clinic that we did in Terrace this year, I ended up talking with a native leader from the Nass Valley, and he said to me, "Oh, you should come up and visit us because we've got all these kids with visual impairments." It's like, well, okay, you've got all these kids with visual impairments, but why are they not being seen by a vision teacher? Why has the vision teacher not referred them to us? Why is this kid off in isolation, not getting services? And you wonder how many kids there are out there who are missing services because maybe they haven't been identified yet as being visually impaired. Maybe they're skating by and nobody's really felt that there was a need for them to see services, but there's definitely an unmet need in the province. There's no question of that.
Well, absolutely. I mean, you would think that in a perfect world, I would think that every, I would say area, and I mean, you could break up the province into sort of areas like, the northern interior, the interior, the Okanagan, etc. I mean, each of those areas, I would think, should have one of these things every year, at least.
You would think.
Because otherwise, I mean, you're just going to, and not only that, I mean, usually the clinics are a day or 2 days?
We're usually doing them over 2 days now.
Okay.
If we do a lower mainland clinic, lower mainland clinics tend to be the busiest because we get the most referrals down here just because of population. And we'll do, 10 kids in a day. In the northern clinics, you don't tend to have the same concentration of population. And, we might see 5 or 6 kids a day, over 2 days. But then, like Lynn said, you've got to allow time for travel. You got to get in, get out. And that can be tricky in different places. So,
but still 10 kids a day, that's not many.
No. And you think about, we've had people on the podcast whose eye condition has, gone from, fairly good sight to nothing in 8 months.
Yeah.
So if they're not seeing an ophthalmologist again for another
3 years,
2 years, 3 years.
Well, keep in mind this is not our ophthalmologist is not supposed to be anybody's primary ophthalmologist.
Exactly. Yeah, they refer all of them.
They should be seeing their own ophthalmologist on a regular basis.
Sure,
but
hard to do if you're in a remote area.
If you're in a remote area, it's a lot more difficult than if you're not.
Yeah.
It's amazing, and you can hear the passion in Lynn's voice, and geez, props to her that it sounds like it's been so much work for all of you guys for many years. So
yeah, well, we never mentioned it, but Lynn was awarded Vision Teacher of the Year this year for Canada.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, at the Canadian Vision Teachers Conference. What was that? A month ago in Edmonton, she was awarded that. So her work is being recognized. She's between CLVP and Space Camp and everything else that she does. She's done the Dream Lift for kids. Where they fly kids down to Disneyland for the day. All of these kids with disabilities get picked up in Kelowna.
Oh, wow.
I think they fly to Vancouver, pick up a bunch more kids, and then go to Disneyland for the day. She was coordinating that. I'm not sure if she's still coordinating that or not, but that Space Camp, CLVP, and she has a full-time job and 2 kids of her own. So,
jeez,
she's a pretty remarkable woman. She's got her.
Yeah, I'll say
she's a hard worker.
Okay, well, I think that's a wrap.
Hey, thanks for joining us for AT Banter this week. We'll see you next time.
Peace out. Mic drop. No, hey, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Where can people find us?
You ask me that every week, every episode.
Because it's your thing.
That's my thing. All right. They can find us
Wait till we get their T-shirts printed with
T-shirts.
Yeah, with that all on the back. That's your catchphrase.
Really?
Sure.
All right. Online at atbanter.com.
It's going to look really lame on the back of a T-shirt. I take it back. I think we should get it. We'll get a T-shirt printed that says "I don't care to you" for you. People can also drop us a line if they so desire. AT Banter Podcast at Gmail.
Not really dropping us a line.
Oh, so do you want me to change that after 108 episodes? Fine, okay. People can also email us if they so desire. atbanterpodcast at gmail.com.
Or they can record a voice message and email it to us.
Can they?
Sure.
Absolutely, they can.
That'd be sweet.
You know what else they can do?
What's that?
They can connect with us on Facebook.
Oh.
And they can connect with us on Twitter.
Yep.
But more importantly, they can go to iTunes right now and give us a 5-star rating.
Damn, that's a great idea.
Isn't it?
I hear that makes your...
I have a question.
I hear it makes people a better person.
And it cures arthritis.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And bad breath.
And erectile dysfunction.
Yep.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
It worked for me.
Yeah.
What, Ryan?
My question is, when's the last time any of us looked at iTunes to see if we've gotten any ratings?
Exactly. Counting
Episode 1?
Counting this afternoon? I don't know.
Because I haven't looked.
0. I don't know. Maybe everyone's giving us a 5-star.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Well,
maybe we need to look.
Keep it up. We'll keep up the campaign. What else? Hey, Steve.
Hey, Rob.
Where can people find Canadian assistive technology?
Well, they can find us, me, you, Ryan, at www.canastech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com.
What about Mr. Rick Chant and his wonderful servicing department?
Oh, I heard a great story today about his wonderful servicing department. I was talking to one of our friends of the show, Shan, out in Saskatchewan, and he was telling me about how their department is supposed to get stuff repaired through a certain company out there.
Yeah.
And so he and another coworker both have Braille Edge Braille displays from HIMS. So his buddy had to get his cleaned, so he sent it to the company that's supposed to do all their technology stuff. He was without it for a month, and then he finally got it back. Shan decided to bypass that and sent his to Rick.
Yeah.
He sent it on a Tuesday. He had it back the following Wednesday.
Whoa.
So how's that for turnaround and service? You know, that's including shipping time to Saskatchewan. So between Vancouver and Saskatchewan. So that's pretty cool.
That Rick Chant, he's amazing.
Shout out to Rick.
Too bad he's not nice to us.
Yeah, I know. He's
way nicer to
so mean to us
clients, but
well. But he can be found at www.chaostechnicalservices.com. That's chaos, CHAOS, technical the way you would spell technical, and services the way you would spell services.
.com. Nice. What a team. All right. So that is going to do it for us this week. Thanks, everybody, for listening in. Time to go out and enjoy that sunshine. We'll see everybody next week.
You betcha. This podcast has been brought to you by Canadian Assistive Technology, providing low vision and blindness solutions across Canada. Find us online at www.canastech.com. That's CANASSTECH.com, or call us toll free at 1-844-795-8324. For all your assistive technology servicing needs, call Chaos Technical Services at 778-847-6840, or find them online at chaostechnicalservices.com. Music provided by bensound.com.
Whoa, look at that. Master of the one take.